Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The biggest news on the front burner since yesterday in Nigeria has been the release of President Muhammadu Buhari's list of nominated ministers. This next short package has set the tone for our discussion on this subject.
It has forwarded the long-awaited list of ministerial nominees to the Senate for confirmation. True to type, the president did it in his own time and his own pace. True to type also, the president appeared not to have disappointed millions of Nigerians by his choice of ministers to be, having decided in his wisdom to go for a majority of those who constituted the immediate former Federal Executive Council. President Muhammadu Buhari is reputed to harbor a fierce sense of loyalty towards individuals who are privileged to have had one form of association or the other with him. A total of 14 former ministers are in line to be reconfirmed, including Babatunde Raji Fashola, Rotimi Amechi, Zainab Ahmed, Mohamed Bello, Adamu, Dr. Ogbonnaya Ono, Dr. Chris Ngige, Dr. Osage Ehanire, Hadi Sirika, Lai Mohammed, Abubakar Malami, Geoffrey Onyama, Suleiman Adamu, and Mustafa Baba Shehuri. 18 former ministers failed to make a return, though. Some very interesting personalities have also been nominated. With this mixed bag of a ministerial list, reactions in the public space has been that of concern as to whether President Buhari and his party, the All Progressives Congress, have done a good enough job or not of repositioning Nigeria for better functionality, socially, politically, and most importantly, economically. For in the estimation of most Nigerians, the jury is still out on the performance of many of the returning ministers.
Well, that's the package there on the ministerial nominees whose names have been sent to the Senate by President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria. Reactions to the list of these ministerial nominees have been varied. Most of them have been outright disapproval from a lot of Nigerians who say the list holds out little hope about new ideas in the new dispensation. For a detailed analysis of that list, we're now being joined by Dr. Sam Amadi, a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. Amadi is also a former chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Sam Amadi, welcome to the morning show once again. Morning.
Thank you very much, Ruben.
Yes, morning. Well, I mean, you must have been following the story. And we've discussed this subject with you before now on the morning show. Now that the list is before the Senate, are you impressed? Are you shocked? Are you surprised? Or are you indifferent?
I think closer to indifferent because I wasn't really shocked. And I would say I'm pleased because perhaps I have a different idea of what we need at this moment or a different idea of my own conception of the challenge before the presidency. But let's start by saying that it's oftentimes, I think in the last 5 years or 4 years and fraction of Buhari's presidency, we have often written on his script our own ideas and perception, even our own interpretation of who he is. And he has remained true to himself, I think. And so first, let's start with authenticity. He has remained true to himself. We often assume he has some big ideas to unleash. We often assume he's going to perhaps adapt to challenges of the gender balance. We assume he's going to kick into the new age idea of youth and energy. But he has been consistent to deal with his own idea, which is basically governance as a form of loyalty counts first, and of course, people you are familiar with, and things that you are used to, and things that you probably understand best. So there's no adventurism here, there's no adaptation, as it were. And because of that, we perhaps make a mistake in assessing what he will do next. So this list, in my view, represents quintessential President Buhari, and he said he's going to stick to people he knows, and perhaps people he knew. He knows some of these guys in the first term, 4 years. If you look at the fact that he never swapped ministerial position, and he didn't force anybody out in the last 4 years. So there's a pattern of consistency, loyalty, people who work, and people don't lose their job because they made a mistake in terms of maybe decisional mistake, misjudgment, or even, if you like, blunders relating to competence. They lose because perhaps they are either celebrated corruption or because they are found disloyal. So that is who our president is. And so the list fits that bill, if you like. Again, he also talked about pressure on him. I think he has been very honest, to be frank. Pressure on him about the ministerial list. And you can see how that pressure manifests in some names that maybe couldn't have been there otherwise. And some names that were dropped out who people thought would be there. I mean, people expected Amadi perhaps because of President's seeming approval of his job, just like he did with Fashola, or at least the President trying to intervene to save his job. So these calculations show that this President is consistent. We are the ones who are highfalutin, we are the ones who are perhaps ideological, who have grand narrative, and who often err in trying to superimpose that on very simple, prosaic canvas, which is basically...
Sam Amadi, Sam,
yeah.
you just mentioned that you expected that, former Governor Amadi will be on the list. But how about some of the persons that are on the list? How do you feel? Babajide Raji Fashola is back on that list, and many Nigerians will say that he deserves it. But how about Godswill Akpabio? How about Chris Ngige, who had big issue with the labor unions? How about some of those other persons who could not even deliver their states, and their names have been put on that list? And why should the governors dominate the list? Shouldn't they be allowed to go and rest so that other people with better ideas can make a difference?
I think three factors. Let's take, for example, Akpabio, Godswill Akpabio. Obviously, fair outing as a governor. But then, if you look at Godswill, you see, he has been a major political force. He really, towards election time, tried to pull his weight. He could perhaps would have fought for Senate president if he won the Senate seat. And then, of course, we hear that politically he is not in good terms with the former strong man of South-South and perhaps Southeast APC, which is Amechi. So I would read it as a way of cutting off Amechi's control of that territory. Politically, this might be a game to dilute Amechi's political influence, number one. And two, this guy is ambitious, this guy is strong, he has a lot of money, he has political capital. And, pressure, I'm under pressure. This could be one of those pressure points that worked well, and Godswill got himself on the ministerial list. Now, let's take in terms of Fashola. People may have debate, but of course, he's competent enough to be minister. Whether he delivered on power, which, in my view, we did not because of a whole lot of structural problem, but at least you could say, with the famed relationship between my president likes him, a smart guy, basically nobody would quarrel with him coming back. The question would not be where will he function, as a super minister or a one-line minister. Now, if you look at Ngige, Ngige has been with the president even from before this global merger, and Ngige has been our man in the East, and he has been committed to the president at a point risking political capital for himself. So, like I said, it doesn't seem to me that somebody took pen and paper, and look at competence, and look at what you've done before, and look at whether you have scandals or not to populate this list. This list is totally not responsive to what we in the chattering class look at.
Absolutely, Dr. Amadi.
Scandal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What has often been said regarding the CBN governor and the torrid time he had in the first half of his term, straddling both monetary and fiscal policies. What do you make of the inclusion of Zainab Ahmed, former Minister of Finance, in this list, that she has been retained, that Hadi Serika, for instance, in spite of the Air Nigeria debacle, has been retained? What's your view on this?
Mm-hmm. Well, my view is a couple of things. One, like I said, loyalty. If you don't offend us, if you don't disrupt our work, you stay in. So Hadi Serika, who is related to the president, Serika had I didn't think he was going to lose his job. The way this administration look at most of this scandal, like I said, what happened in Nigeria was a total misjudgment, fundamental error of judgment, and of course some would say perhaps an attempt at corruption. But how does it register in the matrix that our president uses? For me, it may not register at all. So Sariki is in because he's still one of us I judge him capable of doing what. The question here is a divergence. What is the conception of the work that the president wants this people to do? And what's our own conception of the work that we want this people to do? Take, for example, Trump's cabinet. People were really worried about some people who will put in energy ministry, for example, people who doubt the science of climate change, people who have opposition to renewable energy and all that. So the reason why he put them there is to roll back on what he called the deep state. So the reason why Mr. President Buhari may put someone in the team might not be to deliver what we want, technocrats, competence. So that's the point, that's the confusion here, is what does the president want to do? Does the president, people talk about the second term, usually the president wants to leave legacy on the second term. The question is, what legacy do you want to leave? So this team seems to me a team put together, continuity of loyalty, strictly APC team, strictly team of largely politicians who played key role. Everybody in that team with perhaps few people. In fact, nobody in that team is not a well-known political associate of either the president or some of the handlers. Again, let's not forget about presidencies. Every presidency is owned by some people. The question is, who owns the presidency? And so these people bring people in. Take, for example, a place like Abia, where strong APC team has been arguing for some people. Uche Oga makes the team. Uche Oga has been running perennially for APC, has not won, and has some good relationship with people in the villa.
Well, thank you very much.
Campaign.
Thank you very much, Sam Amadi, for your insights, for your analysis of the ministerial list. I'm sure the conversation will still continue as the Senate begins its confirmation process this morning.